this is my favorite part of the HeroesX of Protesilaos, HeroesX 2.6 through 3.6. And I think this one is worth going through chunk by chunk.
Okay.
I love the fact that from the very beginning, when the still uninitiated Phoenician is asking the Ampelourgos, are you living a reflective way of life, which means a transcendent life, a life that's out of the ordinary, not everyday.
That embodies special knowledge and understanding, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And so the Ampelourgos immediately answers, oh yes, together with the beautiful Protesilaos. And already you see an aestheticizing and eroticizing
That's
of
kalos.
hero.
Is it kalos?
Kalos,
Yep.
yes,
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
When Phoenician says, what do you have in common with him?
Uh-huh.
First, the Ampelourgos has to make sure that we're talking about the same hero
Uh-huh.
that he really has in mind, and
Right.
that is the husband of Laodameia.
Right,
That's
right.
the bride that Protesilaos left behind.
Right.
And you notice he has a consciousness because he loves to be referred to as the lover of this woman
Right.
whom he left behind.
He delights in hearing himself described this way.
He
Yep.
delights to hear himself described as a lover, which makes us wonder about Achilles. How come that happens so rarely? I have found places in especially Iliad 9 where he is described as a good lover,
Right.
and I bet he delights in it
Right.
in his cult. But it happens
Rarely.
very rarely.
Right.
Whereas this figure is prominently highlighted as a great lover.
I mean, yes, Achilles talks about how he loved Briseis, for example.
That's
Yes,
the passage I'm thinking about,
Yep.
where Achilles shows that
Yep.
that side of him.
Yep.
Then we come to what they have in common, because the Ampelourgos hasn't answered that question yet.
Right.
So Phoenician says, what is he doing here? And the Ampelourgos says, oh, this is so deep.
Yes.
He lives here. And living like that is not just living, but the life force that animates the whole place.
Right. It's the mystical life force.
And
Yep.
we work the land together. And sure, in one sense, that's, hi, I'm a temple keeper. I am the person who takes care of the sacred precinct. I take care of the plants, therefore I act like a farmer, shall we say.
Right.
But when it's Protesilaos, working the land means actually making the land fertile and teeming with life.
You couldn't have a better co-worker.
It's a great co-worker.
Yes.
And here it comes. Has he come back to life or what? Anabiōnai, and that is such a inappropriate question to ask in earlier times. But as I say, we're on the verge of late antiquity, and people are starting to feel free about talking about the mysteries.
Right.
So has he had a resurrection?
Yes.
And then it turns out that even for the Ampelourgos, there are certain aspects of the resurrection of Protesilaos that are carefully handled, because it turns out he's had two, as we'll see in a minute.
Right.
Not just one. He can really outcompete the Christians of the era.
Because
if
he has
Jesus
two
had one, our cult hero has two.
Two, wow.
So he has two resurrections, but the Ampelourgos isn't quite sure about the second one. He only knows about the first one.
Okay.
And he hasn't been initiated into the second one. I like to say that he's a Cub Scout, not an Eagle Scout.
I see. Beautiful.
And so look at the guarded way the Ampelourgos talks. He does not speak about his own experiences, pathos. And in readings to come, we're going to emphasize more and more
This is a key concept.
very important word having to do with larger-than-life experiences of a hero.
Right.
But he does say this much, that he came back to life. Why? Because he loved Laodameia, his wife. So that part, where the wife is really missing him, and then he comes back and they're reunited. Isn't that nice? That part of the resurrection, that's okay.
Great.
The second part is much more complicated. Let's not go there.
Okay.
He certainly doesn't go there.
Right,
So we
right.
won't go there now, okay? But there it is, anabiōnai.
So he talks about the good, not the pathia, but the positive and the erotic side of his resurrection.
Because in hero cult, you can stress the happy ending,
right?
Whereas in narratives about epic heroes, that's seldom the case.
Right. It's about the grief. It's about the sorrowing and the lament.
Here, love conquers.
Yep.
And but then the Phoenician gets into dangerous territory, and yet it is said that he died after he came to life and persuaded his wife to follow him. And that's where it's going to get off limits.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so the Ampelourgos says, look, he does not tell me, even though I wanted to find out for a long time. So that's off limits.
Okay.
He is hiding, he says, some secret of the fates.
Okay, and the word aporeton is a real word for religious secret,
A religious secret, something that's taboo.
Yep.
But here's the nice thing, he has epiphanies. He makes appearances.
Right.
And so do his fellow warriors. And here's the word, phainontai, which we've seen in earlier contexts and where we saw that the deeper meaning is appear, manifest oneself in an epiphany.
Right.
So isn't that nice?
There's this, he used exactly the key word there.
And it's not just Protesilaos, it's all of his fellow warriors from the Trojan War, and then when they appear, they're like snapshots, holding the pose of fighting men and shaking the crests of their helmets. What a sight.
Beautiful.
What a sight.
Yep.
And so Phoenician says, by Athena, Ampelourgos, I don't believe it. See, this is the problem. He's not yet initiated.
Right.
I can't believe. How can I be made to believe? Well, I'll tell you, I'll initiate you.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen now. How do I initiate you? Let me take you to the sacred place. Let's enter the garden.
Okay.
We haven't entered the garden yet.
This is still on the outside.
We're still on the periphery, and so the Ampelourgos says, let's go in. And what is waiting for us in there? Well, that's something that will make the Phoenician believe, pisteuing, which is so close to Christian concepts of belief.
Yes, pistis. Yep.
And so this is the right time, the hora. Let's go in, and then the Phoenician says, "Lead the way. I will follow even beyond the interior of Thrace." Hint, hint, hint.
Okay.
Just as Orpheus went to Thrace, I will go to Thrace.
So
and Orpheus is like the representative of mysteries of cult heroes.
Right. Exactly.
So he's ready.
Okay.
And then Ampelourgos says, "Let us enter the vineyard, Phoenician."
Right. So he calls it a vineyard, so you really see what an important function the Ampelourgos has.
That is the primary vegetal function of this place.
Yep.
And then if you feel a breeze now, well, it's the breath of the hero.
Which he asked about at the beginning, right? Does he smell good?
And he certainly does.
Yes. And then the Phoenician starts remarking on how beautiful the space is, right?
And beauty is in its diversity.
Yes.
It's poikile. And the beauty is hora. So the perfect heroic moment, just the right time, the hora, is also perfect beauty. It's perfection as visualized through the beauty of a garden.
So this is the theme about the hero and his death achieving the seasonality that he doesn't otherwise.
That's it. And it's all here.
Right.
And then it turns out that every nook and cranny of this place is pervaded by the presence of this hero.
Right.
And he even exercises there. So if you see a walkway through a thicket, that's because that's where he's working out and he's running through it.
Wow.
And of course, it's eroticized, that the hero strips down and exercises naked there. Right. And when we get to the Hippolytus, we'll see that if an unfortunate female hero sees a male hero in that situation, she will fall hopelessly in love.
Right.
But we'll get to that when we get to the Hippolytus.
Yes. So all of the fertility and the natural beauty and the nakedness, they all paint a picture that's both sacred and erotic at the same time.
That's right. Yeah. And that's why our response as everyday people is we long for this.
Yeah.